Hi, I'm Louise Jacobs, part of the Sudan for Jesus running team. I'd like to tell you about my first Comrades. Remember, I'm a blind runner, and to me the first Comrades was an experience. Not the road or the view along the way, it's the experience of 90 kilometers. I started my Comrades with Roald, my guide. We run with an elastic band. It's dark when you start the Comrades, and as you go out of Durban, the lights dim and the lights get dimmer, but the people also start getting less around you. And it was at about 20 kilometers going up Fields Hill where I lost Roald. I can distinguish between light and darkness, and during that time the sun had already risen, so I could see a little bit of light and darkness and movement. So I kept on focusing in front of me where I could see movement, keeping in the middle of the road, avoiding the little lights, and just putting your ears out there and thinking, okay, the next water point should be in about a kilometer's time, hearing if somebody's calling water, energy, and as they called it, I would just put my hand out and they would put it into my hand. I would taste immediately the first one. Is it energy? Because that one I should drink. The next one, or the first one, whichever one was that you're biting, if it's water you can throw it over your head. And I would carry on. That was the next 70 kilometers that I did on my own. But I wasn't alone. God was with me all along the way. And the most wonderful thing was we had supporting points along the way. My first one coming up was Blackie. And Blackie was there to tell me what would be coming up, hills, downhills. Whatever came was fine. I couldn't see them. I just took them as they came. And the next point was 60 kilometers. I've never run 60 kilometers before I did the Comrades. The furthest I've gone was 50 kilometers. So I knew if I could get to 60 kilometers where Norman and Karina were standing, I would feel, would I be able to finish this road? Would I be all right? And as I got to Norman and Karina, I realized I didn't even feel worse than I felt at 50 kilometers. It felt the same. And I carried on. The next one was at about 70 kilometers, where Blackie was again with Mostert, and they were waiting there. At that time, you're not hungry anymore. You are just filled up with energy and water and gels, and you just want to finish at that time. You don't want to drink lots of water and things along the way anymore. But that was wonderful because I wasn't that tired. It felt like I could carry on for a long time still. 5 kilometers before the end, I would hear people calling out and saying from the water points, it's 5 kilometers left, 2 kilometers left. And I just told God, this is it now. You did it. Because I knew I couldn't do it on my own. It was all in. And still to this day, I don't realize or even feel that I did the Comrades. I was just there along the way with God doing this journey. And it was wonderful. If I have to tell you what my experience was for a blind person doing the Comrades, it's experiencing different people along the way. How they carry themselves, how they experience pain, how they push through pain. And it's sometimes something to laugh about, because some people are just focused. If you speak to them, they are not prepared to speak to you. If you offer them biscuits or ask them something, they would ignore you. And other people would just laugh and talk and carry on. Other people really suffer. They suffer to get this mind over matter thing. Some people have done it for the 10th time, but they're still suffering. Some people are doing it for the first time, but they're enjoying it. Some people enjoy life, some people go through life suffering. We're all different. To me, it was a wonderful experience because it's invigorating thinking that people can do this distance and still be alive. I was there, and it's actually doable because God says that He's actually the breath that you're breathing. And that's what I experienced. I was never out of breath. I was never without motivation. I was never without feeling I can't do this. And that was because God was with me, and He was for me along the way. He was my breath in the beginning, and He was my breath at the end. Along the way, He was there to make jokes with me and talk with me, because remember, I lost Rod at 20 kilometres, so I was alone all along the way. You can't see the view. Everybody asks you, is this Polly's, is this little Polly's? And you don't know. You don't even know how far you are at that stage. You're just carrying on after the movement, and people get panicky, but yeah, it was wonderful. I think if you want the experience of doing something bigger than yourself, the Comrades is a good thing to do. But be sure, it's not easy. Preparing for the Comrades takes discipline, time, and motivation. But most of all, you can't do it without support. And it's really a good idea to try to do it with a team, as I did it like the Sudan for Jesus team, doing it for a fundraiser, realizing you're doing it for something bigger than yourself. It's not you achieving the Comrades medal. It's you doing it with God. It's a win-win situation. You can't fail in that instance.